My name is Micaela Connery. I am 23 and the founder and executive director of Unified Theater, where we give teens with and without disabilities their well-deserved moment in the spotlight. The first time I really did speak for a crowd was saying a poem in my kindergarten or first grade class, and it was that Shel Silverstein poem, "I'm Being Eaten by a Boa Constrictor," and I had a lisp when I was little. It was the worst poem for somebody with a lisp. I think an effective speech tells a story. Nobody wants to hear an essay and we got from point A to point B and we're done and it's all this neat little bow, and that it does help, but more you want to capture people. So you want to always start with something that makes them excited about what you're going to say, makes them feel for the situation you're talking about or the subject you're talking about. So I always try when I'm writing to say things aloud as I'm writing them, to realize, all right, does that sound like how I speak normally? And then I also think as soon as you write a speech, you need to read through it and edit. So to look at, you know, what things sound awkward, what things you want to cut out, maybe little words that you realize when you say aloud, or a tongue twister or something that's difficult, and doing that a few times before you actually are reading it aloud for the first time. My biggest struggle with public speaking has always been that I talk really fast, and the more excited I get, the faster I talk. If I focus on speaking slowly, I think in my head,
this sounds really slow.
So you have to be okay with that and realize what it sounds like to you isn't always what it sounds like to the audience. And especially if you're speaking on a mic or any kind of sound system, it's even harder to hear. So that's when you really have to focus on finishing every word and making sure everything gets across nice and slow and clear. One of my biggest tips is practicing ahead of time. And that doesn't mean that you're practicing your speech that you're going to say a bunch of times in front of the mirror, but saying something in class when you don't usually like to talk in class, or getting up at a family dinner and saying something, or speaking at a party, or anytime anybody asks you to speak at little events that don't really seem like public speaking but really are your kind of mini public speaking engagements. Really take advantage of those opportunities. One of my other tips for when people are public speaking is to recognize the value in what you're going to say. So I think we all suffer a little bit from the little old we, like nobody wants to hear what I have to say syndrome, and that definitely came to play with my own public speaking and having to get comfortable with the fact that you were asked to speak and the people who are there came to hear you speak, so what you're saying matters, and just building yourself up that way. Well, you know, we all know the age-old trick, picture your audience in their underwear and chicken suits. That never really did it for me. My first thing, I like to take a moment and just take in your audience. So look at somebody out there and pick a couple faces that you're going to focus on during your speech, people that you're going to talk to, an audience member that you want to really reach, that you want to see a change of expression on their face during your speech, and use them as your one focal point every now and then. Since the awards, I've consulted DoSomething staff about how to work best with teens. They've changed the way I do business. I no longer look at being young as something I need to hide. Thank you so much.